Hey friends, all right, we're looking at the Lumibricks floating train station, set 9098, 2,760 pieces. And here is the box. It is a really big box. And you can see here that it is an entire modular section. So we're looking at probably a 32 by 32. It's an elevated one. So you can click into the next one in the series. And as usual, they can be connected and powered from a single USB-C source. And they have side connectors so that the power can be transferred from unit to unit. The back shows you some of the other ones in the series that this is compatible with. The apartment, Izakaya, floating train station, and game stack. Right now I have these two, and so eventually I'll both be able to click them together and we'll be able to see what they look like. Something neat about the inside of this box is they do have, as usual, they really make a cool presentation. And if I can get this thing open, we can see the inside, and they have this on the inside. Let's see if we can get that in the camera there. Yeah, so some artwork on the inside that just sort of puts you in the universe, and gives you the sense of being there in this neon cyberpunk city. So really neat stuff. It's sort of like the whole aesthetic is a little bit like Blade Runner, except a happy Blade Runner, so we'll take a look at these parts. We'll look at the lighting kit and some of the special pieces. We'll flip through the manuals too, so you know what to expect. A set like this, I want to say this was probably in the 150, 160 US dollar range. And so you probably want to know what you're in for if you're going to spend the money on something like this. So the parts, they are Lego compatible, and they're using part colors and part shapes that should look very familiar to you. Within this set, there's a lot more transparent color pieces, and everything that you see is printed. Every decoration in here is printed, so there's no stickers, which is great, especially on a set that has a lot of transparent pieces. You don't want to be putting stickers on transparent pieces because usually you only get one shot at it, and if you do it wrong, then they show creases and things like that. Occasionally with the Lumibricks sets, I've noticed they have a new gray that Lego does not have. It's a light gray, and they have that here. And I don't know what they call it, but it's lighter than Lego's gray, which makes Lego's light gray their medium gray, if that makes any sense. So that's an idea, kind of what to expect with the parts. You'll see a lot of plates, things like that are very familiar. Occasionally you see these parts that have extra grooves in them, and those are to help with the wiring, but there are also specialized parts that are just for the wiring. Here's an example of more of those transparent parts. There was a bag in here that had a lot of transparent red. Here's transparent red. Here's a whole brick. It's probably a 2 by 12 in transparent red. Here's a plate. It's maybe a 2 by 12 transparent plate. Yeah, so if you love transparent pieces, this is for you. Here's one that's printed. It's really nice. And they're individually bagged, these ones that are transparent that might get scratched. Here's a tile. It says connecting the world. So I like that they have individually bagged them. Thank you, Lumibricks, for doing that. They want to make sure you don't suffer. All right, and then there are two bags that say F. So one is for the characters, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we get 6 or 5 characters with this one. And one of the characters is a hologram of a performer. So we'll actually see their names in the manual. They have names, a little bit of a backstory, a little bit of a quote about them. So as usual with Lumibricks, you have to fully assemble these. So you have to put the hands into the arms into the torsos. You have to put the legs into the hips, and then put everything together. And it can be a little bit challenging the first time you do it because these parts are tiny and everything is left right. They're not universal. So the hands are left and right, the feet or the legs are left and right. So you got to get the orientations correct. We have another F bag, and this is all the specialized parts that are just to help you with the routing of the wiring. So for example, on this tile right here, you see those notches on the edge. That's so that you can run the wiring. You can put that tile down and it won't crimp the wiring, and your build will remain square. It won't tilt up because there's, it's trying to feed wiring under there, and wonky things will happen. Here's another bag, S. These are specialized parts for this kit that maybe don't fit into the other one. So it's a whole stack of 16 by 16 plates, quite a few of them. And then these really big canopy pieces, and they're printed on both sides, individually bagged so they don't get scratched up. Some hoses, and then this mirror piece. Looks like there's two of these mirrors. And as far as I can tell, I think they've figured out a way to create an infinite mirror trick on this. And the place that you're going to see that is here with this portal where the train comes out of. So this might be a good time to just kind of talk about what we see in this image, right? So it's a modular style structure, and it's all meant to be a train station, a floating train station. So your train platform is on the second floor with this train, and here's the canopy and the other side. So it's a mirrored train, looks the same on both sides. And then the bottom floor is like an information counter, maybe a ticket booth. There's something called a power bank area. I'm not sure what that is exactly. There's a service entry, a service hatch. There's this portal that I think the trains go through in order to get to their next destination, which is a clever solution so that you can put this in place and it won't feel like incomplete or the train is floating. And they add this like stop sign here just so you know, like that's where it's supposed to stop. And I bet you Lumibricks has probably figured out a way that if you had two of these sets, you could put them side by side and the track would probably go straight across with very little modification. There are these neon-esque signs everywhere. If you look up here, there's even more lighting. This is supposed to be like a monitoring area. And up here, maybe sort of like a communications array. So there's a lot here. And what you don't see is on the back side, there's a toilet there too. So they've crammed a lot of really cool things in here. Maybe not the same density as you would see with like a Ninjago City type of build, but still a lot of amazing details, a lot of really great bold colors and build styles. And there's also this lighting kit. So inside the lighting kit, you get safety precautions. You get a bunch of bags. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 bags worth of lighting elements. It's a lot of stuff. And as usual with Lumibricks, you're getting specialized parts. These are parts that are made specifically for specific lighting areas. So 1x1 studs or couplers or whatever it is that you might need to light up. Sometimes it's 2x4 plates. Here it's a 2x2 cylinder that's getting lit up. And the wiring lengths are all specific to the build and for what you actually need. And so this piece I've never seen before. It looks like a multi-piece coupler, but I also am wondering if it has some sort of smart maybe on-off sequencing for the things that are plugged into it. So that might be possible, because in order to pull off some of the things they're trying to do, it can't just be a constant on. It might need to be on and off in some sort of programmed way. It comes with a USB to USB-C cable. Also comes with this battery box. Usually there are 3 AA batteries, and you just plug the USB into here, or you could plug the USB into the wall. It's on and off switch. And bag 5 includes these very special pieces. Let's take a couple of them out and so we can see them. So this is the only kind of kit where you're gonna get stuff like this. I mean, check this out. It is like a robot. If you can see that, that's a robot kind of waving. And it's also a robot waving. Let me see if we can show that better, like against, there we go. And if I'm not mistaken, they've meant this to probably sit over each other or close to each other and then alternate, so that you light up one, then you light up the other, and they've made it so that the light is coming through the bottom, and it just lights up these etched areas. And then if they can alternate from the front panel to the back panel, you'll have a subtle animation happening with these. And so that's why I say there might need to be some sort of computer controller or a controller that switches between one light to the next light in order to really pull off that effect. So hopefully that's something they do. Here's a couple more of the transparent pieces, and another one. This is the one that says stop at the end of the line. All right, so it's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do and how they handle that. And then as usual, you get tools. So you get screwdrivers. This is to open up the battery box. And you get these metal tweezers, and a really nice metal matte black. And the tweezers are here to help you with the connectors, getting them in place, pulling them out. And of course, they're really handy as you're building too. If you drop a tiny piece, especially one this tall with multiple floors, if you drop a piece where you can't reach it with your hand, those tweezers are going to be a lifesaver. All right, and so jumping into the instructions tells you a little bit about Lumibricks. They have the service card. They do take your build experience seriously, so they want you to reach out if you're missing any parts, and they'll get them to you. And this is one of the first times I've ever seen a correction sheet in a Lumibricks set. So they're basically saying there's some confusion. If you when you get to these steps, please use these steps instead. So when you get to step 129, follow these instructions. 130, follow these instructions, and so on. And so yeah, I'm glad that they realized that it could be improved, and they went ahead and just inserted it. And then along the lines of the characters, I mentioned that they named them. So here we're going to see, let's see, it's 5 characters, and they have names. So this is the Shadow Thief, the older brother. Okay, so he is a thief, and there even has a little quote from him. It says, "Breaking things is how we get in. Rumor says he can open any door." So he's got a little sister, and that's Swallow Thief younger sister. Grab it and go is her motto. And then we have our station master named Echo. So he's kind of robotic looking, and it even says no one knows if he's even human. So maybe he's a cyborg, or maybe he's a full-on android. And then over here we have Neon Phantom Idol, Erin. So she has a name, and I think she's a famous person in this city. And then next to her is Erin's clone. So she is supposed to go up in the control room. Not sure what her job is, but maybe she's got a clone that is a bit of a superhero, just making sure everything's okay within this city. You can see here all the layers that we've got. Here's the surveillance room. There is a toilet here. Notice that the panels come off the different sections so that you can access the insides, which is terrific. There's a service desk, which I think is the info booth. And this says maintenance hatch. So there's a maintenance hatch somewhere in here. A platform for the train, power bank, self-service station. So I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's you're charging up yourself. Who knows? It's the future. And then here it says driverless carriage, or AKA the train. All right. And then flipping through, they tell you, hey, you can put all of these side by side, and we recommend that you use USB-C if you're trying to power them in kind of a daisy chain. It tells you about this stop sign. It's let you know, hey, this is intentional. We put that here so the trains don't fall off the tracks. And then this is where I think they're doing an infinite mirror, right? It's called shuttle device. Something about crossing dimensions, right? So if they do this right and have double mirrors with one-way glass, I can see this being an amazing effect. Ice cream panel light, neon city light. So this is what I was saying is that it's dynamic. They're saying it's dynamic. They're not dancing. It's rhythmic voltage, right? So something's going on with these robots. Would love to see that working. And here is something I haven't seen before in a Lumibricks set. It says analogous colors list. So it might be a little bit hard to tell, but they're trying to say, hey, here are the brick colors, and these are photographs of the bricks. And then the second column, this is the print colors. So it's letting you see like, hey, here's what you're seeing with your eye, and here's what it'll look like in this printed manual. It's very subtle, but I think it's going to be helpful. And it lets you know also that there are different colors, especially because unlike Lego, they have four light grays, not two grays. Sorry, there are four grays here versus Lego's three grays. So Lego only has this light gray, this is a gunmetal gray, and this is a dark gray. And what Lumibricks does is they added this very, very light gray on here. So they want you to know how to spot it in the instructions too. And then of course the orange/yellows, they want you to know what those look like. All right, and then they have some information about wiring in case that's new to you. And then here's a look at all the wiring components that are included in this set. It's quite a few. It's probably the most I've had to work with in a Lumibricks set, so I'm excited about that. And then at the beginning of this manual, they will ask you to test everything. So that's one of the pages in there. It says, hey, please plug these in, make sure they all work, kind of thing. And then for the manuals, there are 3 manuals. First manual covers the first floor. That's what we're doing. Second floor is the second manual. And by the way, they all have PDF instructions. You just scan the QR codes. And then the third book covers the upper section, and it might just be the control area. So here's where they're saying here, please check all these lights, make sure they work. And I think that's a smart thing to ask you to do, because once it's built into the model and something's not working, it is a little bit more complex to troubleshoot at that point. So you're going to want to test them right off the bat, and they show you what to do for that. And then of course, if something isn't working, I'm sure they will replace it for you. And then they tell you how to put those little characters together. We jump right into the base. And as usual, things are built up a little bit with some height, and that's usually so they can hide some wiring right off the bat underneath the structure. And then I love that Lumibricks always tells you exactly where to run the wiring. So in red here, it's telling you how to route it so that the wiring doesn't get pinched, it doesn't get trapped, and you don't get cornered because you routed the wire into the wrong area. There's a healthy amount of trans blue everywhere. I think that's going to really be a cool effect, help it look quite modern. All right, so we're flipping through. You can see, there's quite a bit to the first floor. A lot of stairs. So I like to see that. That means that they've thought about how the characters are going to get from level to level. So that's all in there too. So it looks like all the flooring might be this trans blue, just to change it up, reinforce the fact that this is the Neon City. So then we jump into the second floor, or some details on the first floor before finishing up the second floor. Looks like that train might be on normal roller coaster track. It looks like that's possible. I think that might be that maintenance hatch. Some railing, more stairs. I think we're building the trains here, so you can see they're identical front to back. And more roller coaster track. I think that is not for the train track. I think a roller coaster track is probably structural. And I like how they have this kind of leaning forward. Quite a bit of railing, one of the removable panels maybe. Oh, I see, the roller coaster track is for structure. And here you can see where they've had you put one of those robot panels, and then you put another one right in front of it. And I think the lighting element is this piece right here, and it shoots the light up into it, if I'm not mistaken. So Yeah, totally looking forward to that. Orange stairs with trans orange steps. I've never seen that. That's cool. All right, and so that is a look at the second floor. And then we get into that third book. Again, there's plenty for you to do here. So if you're looking for a project for yourself and some family members, I think you guys will have a lot of fun. There'll be a lot to do. This will keep you busy for a while. I remember the first couple of Ninjago cities that I built, just trying to take my time. And it took me a couple of weeks, just kind of after hours working on it, I remember. And they were a lot of fun. So this whole upper area, the monitoring room, looks pretty detailed. There's a lot to it. I like the use of these canopy pieces to make up the almost looks like a radar dish up at the top. Here's that portal. So you can see where they're asking you to put those reflective pieces in. And there is lighting all the way around it. And the lighting, I think, is probably sandwiched in the middle. So if you sandwich it in the middle and then you put it between two one-way mirrors, I think that's how you get an infinite mirror. So I'm really glad that they have considered that. Oh, it's telling you to use the tweezers here on this little section. Maybe to push them in. I'm not sure what that is telling you to do. And then you can see here that here's one of those breakaway removable panels so that you can get into the interior. And they're saying go ahead and connect that to the battery box. So that is a place to put the battery box so it's discrete and it's kind of integrated into the build. And I noticed there's a couple of on-off switches. This is one. And then over here, this little box has an on-off switch as well. So I'm not sure what the difference is. It could be in case this is plugged into wall power. This gives you an on-off switch because if you were plugged into the wall, you would want some way to turn it on. So yeah, and then more information here about the tubing and how to put those details in. And then here's your completed building. Yeah, so lots to it. Looking forward to building it. It's going to take me a while because I just keep amassing stuff and don't necessarily have the time to build, but I'm working on it. And if you like this video, hit like. I'd appreciate that. And if you subscribe, that would be awesome. It would mean a lot to me. And it means that you'll be the first to know when I've built this beautiful set. All right, thank you so much.